Three, two, one, here we go. Hello, everyone. I'm Brian the Rain Man Lucas. Welcome to Rain Man's Take, observations on the world we live in. We're going to take a deeper dive into topics of interest to me, including politics, current events, history, popular culture, and social issues. You'll find the diversity of topics refreshing. In our clickbait, soundbite society, we rarely get the whole story. Rain Man's Take interviews interesting people as well as peeling back the onion on specific topics, all with the goal of getting people to think more deeply about a subject. Hey everybody, it's the Rain Man. I want to introduce my guest today, Kim Frost. Kim, how you doing today?
I'm great, Brian, thanks.
Great. Hey, so the reason why I wanted to have Kim on, we're friends, and the last time we were together, we were kind of talking about some of the things that Kim does and some of her, not even call it a hobby, but a passion, what she's very good at. It turns out Kim is an excellent poker player. And as a matter of fact, has played in the World Series of Poker in Vegas in 2019. And immediately when I heard that, I said, Kim, we got to talk about this because like everybody else, I'm sure, I know of the game of poker. I play it periodically with friends, but that's as far as it goes. So I wanted to talk to basically an expert and kind of see how that whole experience was. So Kim, thanks again for joining me. Why don't we start this way? How did you get into poker?
Well, first I want to say I'm not an expert, and I don't think there are a lot of experts. I mean, it's a lot of luck, and there a lot of studying goes on. But yes, I love to play,
Okay.
and I'm fairly good at it. But I wouldn't say an expert.
It sounds like it's probably like golf, where you never can truly master it, but you can hone your skills on a regular basis, right?
Oh, that's a good analogy.
Okay. And so when did you start playing? Was it like when you were a kid, or is it just recently? What made you get into it? What was the draw?
Well, when I was 7 years old, my dad made me start playing poker. He needed a buddy, and my sister kind of was into it, but she went off to college, and then as soon as I could like hold the cards in my hands, right? That's when I was taught how to play, and it's been an ongoing thing. I'm always learning something. But my dad was just such a sweet man, and played a lot of games. I'm from Oregon, a lot of snow in the wintertime, and you play games. That's what you do.
Very cool. So it was you and Dad. You're 7 years old playing Texas Hold'em in the kitchen table. Is that the scene?
It was not Texas Hold'em.
Oh, really?
Texas Hold'em was actually just coming to be in 1963.
Oh, interesting. Okay.
In Europe. And then it was brought to Vegas in 1967. And Doyle Brunson, who you've probably heard, he's like the godfather of Hold'em.
Okay.
And it's called Hold'em because it's a different game than your 5-card draw, your 7-card stud. It's played differently. And it wasn't well known for a long time.
Interesting. I actually didn't even know that either. Is that the style that they play in the World Series of Poker, or what is the game that's played in the event?
There are, because it's the World Series of Poker, all games are played from May through July, but the main event is Texas Hold'em, No Limit.
And that's the one you're flipping around the channels. You'll see
that's the one that you'll see mostly on TV. Gotcha. You'll see some other games as well, but I believe it was like in the 70s. Did you remember Binion's Horseshoe Casino?
No, I don't.
Oh, okay. It was owned by two brothers, and they bought the rights to this poker convention, and at the time they changed the name to the World Series of Poker, and that's what it's been since.
Wow.
So but the main event was always No Limit Texas Hold'em.
Gotcha, gotcha. And so what was the game that your dad taught you? Was it just straight up 5-card draw, 7-card
Yes.
stud? It was, okay.
Yes.
And what's the, is there much of a difference of transition from the 5-card draw to the Hold'em, or is it?
Yes, tremendous difference. In fact, when it started playing on TV, the commentators were really alluding to the fact that it's a game of skill. It's not just, you know, luck.
Yeah.
And it's definitely a game of skill, and you have to study. You have to study the game if you're going to be any good at it.
Gotcha. And is that, are we talking studying probabilities and sort of, is it a math type of a study, or is it more of the study of the opponent across from you? Because that was actually one of the questions I wanted to ask, because obviously you need to know what you're doing in terms of the game, but then there's also the game against the individual that's holding the cards that you're playing against. So the study is that you know, like they say in blackjack, you got, you know, there are very specific things that you should do when you get a certain card. And is that the type of studying that you're referring to in poker as well?
Yeah, it's really complicated, but yes, there are different strategies used for Texas Hold'em versus the other poker games.
Gotcha. And when you played in 2019, what game were you playing?
I strictly played Texas Hold'em, no limit. There's also called limit Texas Hold'em, where you have a cap on how much you can bet per bet.
Gotcha.
But you can go all in anytime in any of the betting patterns. So let me tell you a little bit about the diversity between, say, 5-card stud versus Texas Hold'em no limit.
Yeah.
In the 5-card draw, you can bet twice. You get your cards, and then you bet, and then you exchange a couple cards, and then you bet again.
Right.
But in Texas Hold'em, you have 2 whole cards, and that's why it's called Hold'em. It's because everybody has 2 whole cards, but then there's 5 community cards in the middle of the table that everybody can play. And you don't necessarily have to use your 2 cards. You could use just the cards that are the community cards.
Right, okay.
But you bet when you get your 2 cards, you bet when you get the flop, you bet when you get the turn card, and you bet when you get the river. So that's where the strategy comes in, and how do you want to portray your hand to your opponent, and are you reading your opponent? It's a lot.
Yeah, no, it's amazing, and we're definitely going to get into that. But let's take it back real quick. Okay, so
sure.
Your dad introduced you to it when you were 7 years old. So you obviously growing up, were playing at some level with your father. When did it get to the point where you were like, okay, I'm pretty good at this. Let's start maybe upping the ante, so to speak?
So my nephew was really the first one to go play in the big one, and we call it the big one. It's the main event.
Yeah.
So my dad, he was just so funny. He got Parkinson's after he retired and watched a lot of TV. And in 2002, we started seeing poker on TV, right?
Yeah.
And then Chris Moneymaker, through the internet, because then you could gamble online, which all over the world, it was, a fabulous thing. Chris Moneymaker won his way into the WSOP in 2003 and won the entire event. So he spearheaded this rush to poker. And my dad saw this on TV and told us, hey, I'm watching this TV show where people play poker. And we go, what? That sounds so boring. But whoa, did we get hooked? And we started watching, and then we changed over to play Texas Hold'em.
Gotcha.
But in order to do that, we had to read books about it, Doyle Brunson, I mentioned before.
Yeah.
He wrote a big book about poker, and at the time there were a lot of big names in poker that my sister and I, we'd just go out and buy the books, and we'd read the book, you know, and talk about it, and then we started playing online because it was legal in California, and she lives in Washington. And my nephew, like Chris Moneymaker, won his way into the 2005 WSOP.
Yeah. Now, is he a professional, or is it that's kind of doing it on kind of on the side like you?
And no, he's retired now, and if we could go play, he'd be out playing.
Really?
Because, he loves the game. He loves all the poker games, but I think he would be. I think he'd be very good at it. Well, obviously he won his way in, and my dad was not doing well, and he goes, I want to live long enough to see Jason in the WSOP, and he did. We made it. We all went. We all got to see what it was all about. And at the time, that was the first year that they moved the convention to the Rio, because there were so many people. I think in 1976, there were like 8 entries into the WSOP. In 2005, there were 4,000 plus. And
that was 05 is when you went to watch your nephew?
Yes.
Yes. They basically just must take over the casino then, huh?
It's in their convention center.
Okay.
Yeah. It's off. It's
Yeah.
still on the property, but it's in its own place. Yeah.
I love it. All right. So tell me about like the books. So it's strategy. So you're holding a pair of aces. What do you do when XYZ happens? Are they those type of books, like how-to books, or?
Yes.
Yeah. Okay.
Yes. It was how-to books. Because when you don't know anything, you're just, eating it all up.
Right.
But then when you go play like online, then you can try different strategies yourself. Like if I had pocket aces, maybe I'd only call a previous bet to lure them in, right?
Yeah.
Or maybe I just don't want to take a chance because aces get cracked quite often, Brian.
I love it. So Kim, this is actually, it's fascinating that what you said a couple minutes ago about, the first time it was on television, and now, you see it it's pretty mainstream. And I swear to God, I enjoy watching it. Like I'll sit there, and you would think all you're doing is watching a couple of people around a table doing what appears to be nothing. And then you get the commentator kind of telling you what they're thinking, but it is completely engrossing. I mean, you get into it. Yeah.
You can get hooked, that's for sure.
I love it. All right, so tell the crowd about your outfit. Is this what put you into the 3 money games when you were in Vegas in 19?
I wore this. I wore this hat. I always wear glasses. I have different hats. Like Imelda Marcos has shoes. I have hats.
And now you picked the one that you think is going to intimidate the folks or going to get them off guard because they don't know which hat you're going to be wearing. Everyone knows Kim's going to have a hat on, type of thing.
Yep, they all know I'm going to have a hat, but it's always a surprise because I love hats.
I love it. So now you're an adult. You have a career. You're still playing kind of on the side. And you had mentioned something about a group, and I forgot what the name that you called it, but you play pretty much on a regular basis right now, right? Like almost like practice with a group of people.
Well, now we are playing online.
Okay.
On a site because it's still illegal to play for money in California. We are playing on a free money site.
Okay.
Yeah.
And that's essentially a club, right? You and a bunch of your friends, and you play.
Right.
Okay. And
there's about 60 people.
Okay. And what do you call that again? It was like
I'm not supposed to say.
Oh, got it. Okay. It's classified. Got it. We're gonna call it the group.
We are the group.
All right, perfect. And that's actually interesting because that was the other thing I wanted to ask you. So you see movies like Rounders was a great poker movie.
Oh, yes.
Boiler Room had a little bit of that kind of basement play for money type of game, you know, the illicit, illegal thing.
Casino Royale had a scene.
Yeah. Is that prevalent still? I mean, obviously it's illegal, but does that happen everywhere all the time?
Well, we have a poker room here in Oceanside that's legal. And that's where when I was playing online, it was called Full Tilt.
Okay.
And then the Department of Justice shut it down because it was a Ponzi scheme. And the big wigs were skimming money off of the top. And a couple other sites, same thing happened. So they ruined it for everybody. So you cannot play in the United States for money.
Legally.
Yes.
Yeah. And I assume that I mean, it must happen. And I don't know if I heard this correctly or not, but the other day with all the COVID stuff and all the places of business that were, you know, that aren't allowed to reopen or can't have anything inside, I could have swore one of them was Game Room. No, I don't know if that's that like an Oceanside, the official above board one, or what, but it is. So is the Game Room in Oceanside? Is that at the Ocean's 11 casino there, right there on
That's
the
correct. Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Interesting.
And they had to shut down for COVID. So that's why we're playing online. But when we got shut down online, it forced me to find places like Oceanside and then play live with like you and me across the table. And that was a different game for me because I had to learn to read people or try to read people. And it was a different game. It was so bizarre.
So what's that website called where, so you and I are on a Zoom, but somewhere the 5 community cards needs to be thrown down. I mean, obviously there's an app or there's a program for that, correct?
Yes, it's an app, and you sit at the table and you have a little icon that's you, and you have your stack of chips that you're given, and then it's all software. It's great.
That's amazing. And that's actually one of the things that I found fascinating. I was going back to my old stack of Cigar Aficionado magazines because it seems like every month they've got an article about Vegas and gambling.
Sure.
And, you know, when the real online started, I don't know, or when it started to get popular, maybe around 2008 to 10, somewhere around there, you know, there were kids that were making millions, and that's all they did was play online poker all day long. It's crazy.
Yes. And a lot of the Europeans, they are relentless and they're really aggressive players. So when they would come over here and get in a game, you know, with us, they just would wipe us out.
Really?
So aggressive. And so we had to learn how they were playing. So this game changes all the time, and it's probably changing right now with the COVID thing too, because, you know, now we can't see each other, you know, in real life. We just see an icon across there.
So the World Series of Poker is still going on. It's just online now.
The World Series of Poker, as I played it last year, it was canceled.
Really? Yeah.
Right. No, it was canceled, and because of the pandemic.
Yeah.
So we don't know when this is going to come back. It's really bizarre, the time that we're living in right now.
Tell me about
I mean, that was a bucket list for my sister and I to do that last year. I feel so fortunate that we got to do it.
Yeah.
And
now,
I don't know.
How does that work? So you've got your group, about 60 people. How do you get access into the WSOP? Is it just
anybody?
A buy-in, or is it?
You could go up to the window pay your $10,000 and you can be in the WSOP main
Oh,
event.
really? Okay, so it's a wide open thing.
It's a wide open thing. Yep.
Okay, I actually did not know that, because it always seems, when you're watching it on TV, it always seems that they're the exact same names that you kind of hear about that are always there. So obviously, a guy like me who just won the lottery decided to blow 10 grand in Vegas would be out probably the first day.
You can do that.
Yeah.
You can do that.
So is that the plan? Are you when things get back to normal, do you want to do this like on a yearly basis, or?
Because I won I didn't win 3 events. I cashed in 3 of the events.
Okay.
And that was enough that I bought in for not too much money. So it's 10 grand to play. Yeah. And I won about $7,500 by playing the other events in that series, all Texas Hold'em. And so it didn't hurt to buy in. But my group, the reason I joined the group is they will sponsor you if you win X amount of tournaments in our own series, gotcha, building up to the WSOP. Yeah. So we sent 4 people in 2019 free, because, well, we all paid for it, because
it was within the pot of earnings. It was in the
pot.
That is amazing.
Sponsored 4 main events, and that was so worth it. And I got to watch them play in the main event.
Yeah. And that all those 60 people, are they all San Diego, or are they all over the country?
They're San Diego.
Okay, so you have before the COVID, you guys used to all get together in somebody's house and play, or
yeah, we would go to a dance studio and we'd set up our tables. There's 60 of us, so we would start with 6 tables, 10 at a table. Yeah. And then, do you know how tournaments are played?
Yes. No, I don't know how tournaments are played. I know how the game of Texas Hold'em, I know generally how it's played, but tournaments, no. So continue. I want to hear this.
Okay, so we would pay $150 to play on one Saturday.
Okay.
And someone would take all the money, and they were the treasurer, and they would, put that away, and then we would save so much of the proceeds that day for future, to sponsor someone in the big event. But we would also pay first, second, and third place for that night. So, $150, you could actually make some money, and then the more points you got, then you might be sponsored. So it was really fun, and I got to meet all these people, and they were just so sweet, and a couple people we studied together.
And so 60 people start on a Saturday, and then by the end of the night, one person walks away, or 2 people walk away. I always was under the impression that it's the last person standing wins.
Yes.
It is.
Yes.
How long does that take to get through 60 people?
We'd start about 2:00 in the afternoon, and if you made the money, it would be around maybe 10:30, and then the more people got out, and then first place was probably over by 1:00 in the morning.
So you basically played for, what is that, 13 hours?
About 12.
Unbelievable.
Yeah, 11, 12 hours.
And now, do you hire dealers, or do you guys do it yourself?
We do it ourselves.
Okay, that is amazing.
It is amazing. It was so much fun.
And you know what? It's kind of strange, but there are very few things that can keep you that focused and that engaged for that long a period of time.
You have to have patience when you play this game. You can't rush it, or you're out really soon.
And I assume also that somebody who's very emotionally volatile probably is not very good at the game either.
Right.
And that's just that blows me away. Yeah.
Really, poker players are pretty nice people. Pretty nice. You just have to be. You have to be used to losing. You have to suck it up.
Yeah.
You know, yeah, well, I lost that one. Next time I'll get them.
And is poker, is it a game of runs where you get on fire and it just keeps going, or is it because it doesn't seem like it's that type of game.
It's a game of streaks for the luck, definitely.
Yeah.
But you can make your own luck on how you bet, and bluffing is big.
All right, so let's talk now. This is the stuff that interests me. So you obviously studied a lot. You read a bunch of books, so you know the fundamentals and sort of the science behind the game. Mm-hmm. But now the art comes in, and how much would you say of the game is that art of figuring out what the person across from you is doing, and how much of it is you trying to cover up what you're doing so that nobody knows kind of what you're trying to do? What is that? Is that the big part of the game, or is that what?
Of course. Yeah, of course. Yeah.
So how do you practice that? Besides just doing it all the time, I guess.
The more you play, the more crafty you can be.
All right, so
you have to play.
Yeah, so expand on that. The more crafty you can be. What does that mean?
Okay, so it's just bluffing. Let's talk about bluffing. So if I have my whole cards and I'm trying to bluff, you don't want to bluff the whole table, because someone's gonna, maybe 4 or 5 people will call you. Yeah. You only want to bluff if you're like heads up with someone. Do you know what heads up means?
It's down to 2 of you guys.
Yes, just 2 people. Okay. Yeah. You don't want to bluff, 3, 4, 5 people. That's no good, because you're going to get caught. But you can bluff one person if you tell the story. So you get your whole cards first, and everybody bets. Yep. So if I'm trying to present that I have pocket aces, I'm going to make a large bet. And then we'll see how many people call me. Let's say I have 2 people call me. So now there's 3 of us in the hand, and we see the first 3 cards that come on. That's called the flop.
Yep.
And if there's no ace, because I'm pretending I have aces, right?
Yep.
I want to tell them my hand is better than those 3 cards. So again, I'm going to make a big bet because I'm betting first.
Right.
And I'll see if either of those 2 people call me. If just one person calls me, I might continue with my bluff.
Right.
But if they both fold, there, I've bluffed them. If they both call me, now I'm taking a chance that my not aces is not going to win. So I might change my strategy and check and see what they do. And if they both check, then I still might have the hand. So on the last card, then I might. So it's everything hinges on what happened prior.
Gotcha.
And you have to watch how the other person bets. Like, I will watch you. Did you just call me, or did you re-raise me? Yeah. If you re-raise me, then the hair on the back of my neck might start standing up.
Right.
So that's how you read people, is not just what they're doing and maybe a tick or something, but how they're betting.
Okay. And now because you always, the Casino Royale movie with Bond, that was the one big thing, was he figured out the guy's tell. Now, do you do that, or is it more you're just kind of watching their trends and kind of their habits on how they react when they may have a good hand, or what do you
looking for? Yeah, you try to watch when they turn their cards over. So another part of this game is being very secretive.
Yeah.
And if I don't have to show my whole cards, I don't. I don't want them to know that I really had it. I don't want them to know that I was bluffing. I don't want to give them any clues on how I play.
Yeah.
So you do try to mix it up, but you have to pay attention to what they're doing. And if they show cards, you lock that into your head. He showed ace king. He had a high hand.
Right.
Yeah, or he came in with a deuce five. Like, what the heck was that?
Yeah. So when somebody comes in, like I've seen the WSOP on TV where literally there's a kid who's got a hooded sweatshirt on, tightened up so it's like this, and then he's wearing glasses. So he basically
that was the Unabomber.
Yeah, exactly. He looks like an alien. So what is his strategy? Just not to show, he's not showing any ability to show a tell, or
Yes.
Is that why people dress crazy and act crazy like that? Is that the whole thing? Is just
it's your persona. Yeah. It's your persona. What do you want to give away? What do you want to present? Right. That's exactly it. But I believe that you can't have the hood anymore.
Really?
I think it's against the rules to have the hood and be completely blocked off. Or it was for a while.
Yeah. And then the other question I had about that is some people will be wearing like earbuds, or almost looks like they're listening to music. They can't be listening to music because it sounds like there's a ton that you need to be processing to be at all distracted.
A lot of people listen to music.
Really?
Yes. You would be surprised. Yeah. I don't like to do that for the exact reason that you said. There's too much going on. I don't want to be distracted by that. I want to keep my eye on everybody that's at my table. And there's only 9 people at the table.
Yeah.
We start with 10 with my group because we have 60 people, but people get out and then we shrink the tables.
Yeah.
But most of the time you start at a 9-person table. So when you think about it, you only have to beat 8 people at a time. You just have to be better than those 8 people.
Yeah. That's and so what's your personal reason for why do you wear sunglasses?
I don't like people to know if I'm looking at them or I might have a tell. If I get pocket aces, I don't know. I might, glance over to see if they saw my aces or.
Yeah.
So I try to be very stoic. Usually I don't talk a lot at the table until I feel comfortable with the people. Then I change, then I loosen up. And because you get a little nervous,
Absolutely. It's competition. It's competition, and there's money on the line.
Yeah, and there's money on the line, and you don't want to look stupid.
So how fast? So you start the day on a Saturday with the group. You start at a table of 10 people. How fast? Are people just dropping like flies, or is it pretty good competition?
Sometimes you can rebuy in some of our events, and that keeps people there. But on the days that we don't rebuy, usually by dinner time, about 4:30 or 5, you've got about 3/4 of the people left.
Yeah. Wow. And so if you're basically doing a full work day on a Saturday, how often do you guys meet?
Twice a month.
Really?
Yep.
Wow. All 60 people.
Yeah, usually. And we
so
have
a very hardcore and loyal group.
A very loyal group. It's really more than 60 because not everybody can make every tournament. And we would cut it off at 60. So if you were late in responding to the invite, then you were not able to play that
And
week.
do you have a waiting list of people to get in there? Do you
Yep.
really?
Oh yeah.
I love it. I love it. Excuse me. So I find this is where, just as a social player, I do appreciate the aspect of the mano a mano. You're going against somebody.
Yes.
And it's not only the skill level, but then all the other stuff that goes into it. I would assume, because you've been to the show before, that the skill level stuff, that's just churning in the back of your head. You're not even really thinking about that because it's so ingrained in you that now really all you're doing is playing whoever your opponent is based on how they're at it.
Right. And it's interesting because you can fetter that out pretty quick if that's a good player across from you or not.
And how can you do that? How do you know that it's a good player sitting next to you when you first sit down?
When you first sit down, I will judge on how many times they'll throw their cards. They muck the cards, right? You're folding.
Yeah.
People that play every hand, you shouldn't be playing poker. That you're going down, and I will take you down.
And you obviously probably already know this by now, but I'm that guy. I'll play every hand, at least the first one, and see what happens. So
exactly. Well, the problem with a tournament, which is different from live cash game, is that your ante goes up every 15 or 20 minutes. So you every time it comes around the table for you to pay the ante, because you take turns paying the ante around the table.
Yep.
You pay a big blind one time and a small blind. Yeah. That keeps going up in big increments. So when I talk about my group, like at dinner time, it went from at 2 o'clock, it was 25, 50 chips. And at dinner time, it could be 400, 800.
Really?
Yeah. So, and so when you're only given like 10,000 chips, that's going to start going pretty quick.
Yeah. So the other question I wanted to ask you about, like the big hands that you see on television where, the pot's like $12 million or something like that. At the start of a tournament like that, what's the buy-in? Like when it gets to that level, is the buy-in like hundreds of thousands of dollars or no?
No, because at the WSOP this last year, I think, it was $10,000 entry fee, but remember 8,000 people were there.
Yeah.
And I think he got, was it 12 million or 10 million?
It was insane. Yeah.
Just unbelievable, the amount of money that you can make. And the chips are, so you have all those chips of 8,000 people that guy had. Everybody's chips in front of him.
Yeah. He is truly the last person standing.
Yeah, it's a beautiful thing.
So the official World Series of Poker, how many days is it to go through 8,000 people?
It started on July 2nd, I believe, and it ended on like July 15th.
So that's 13 days, essentially 10 to 12 hours a day of just hardcore.
Right.
Wow. And how many rounds did you make it through? How many days did you make it through? Because you said you were in the money 3 times. What exactly does that mean?
Okay, so in May, then, that's when the World Series of Poker starts, the series itself.
Okay.
And I went maybe 4 times in May. I would fly and stay a few days, and then I would fly home.
Oh, really?
to be in these certain tournaments that I chose to be in. They offer many. They
Okay.
offer Omaha, all different kinds of games.
Right.
But the games that I like is just Texas Hold'em. So I was in a deep stack. I was in the seniors event. And I think I was in the monster.
And so is that all over Vegas, or is that just at the Rio the whole time?
It's at the Rio.
Wow.
It's at the Rio. Every day they have a different event. And my sister came for one event.
Yeah.
And then, oh, and so did my nephew Jason. So the three of us again,
Nice.
he won again.
Yeah.
He's so lucky. He won his way into the 2005, right?
Right.
Won it. Zero money to get in there. So what does he do? He enters this sweepstake in May, this last year, and his name was called. He got a free buy-in to the 2019. That's Jason.
God, it just fascinates me. So, all right, so July 2 through July 15, it is the show. This is the main event.
It's the main event.
And this is 8,000 people show up on the 2nd. The entire
No.
Oh, so the 8,000 people are all doing the stuff that you were doing in May.
Let me clarify.
Okay.
So there are 8,000 entries for the main event, but it's played on 4 days. So each day had 2,000 entries. So July 2nd, the first, it was the A group, 2,000 people.
Gotcha.
They played. July, or maybe it started on the 3rd. Anyway, I wanted to play on the 4th of July because this is what I wore.
Please, look at you.
And I got on TV.
Oh, yeah, you did. And what did they call you? What did the television call you? What was your call sign?
Well, we had a gimmick. And you need a gimmick if you want to make the news or get on TV or whatever. So
was it the Huey Lewis and the News T-shirt?
No, it was actually, I didn't wear this particular one. It was a 4th of July one. It was Stars and Stripes.
I love it.
Yeah, but I did wear this one in another event that I actually cashed in. So anyway, the gimmick that we were is sisters have never played the main event. And so we called ourselves the Sister Act. Nice. And we got interviews. We did make the TV a couple times. Yeah. And so,
Were you guys playing at the same table or no?
We were not at the same table, but we were right beside each other, which is unbelievable with the amount of people that, and we got our tickets on different days. She got her ticket the first day that she was there. I didn't get mine until the 3rd time I went to Vegas. Yeah. Then that's when I bought mine. Yeah. And we were at adjoining tables. It was so funny. So she could watch me, I could watch her. It was just nice having someone close to me when you're a little nervous.
So your day is July 4th. There's 2,000 people in the room. What does it mean when you sent me in the pre-production, when you sent me the information, when you were in the money? What does that mean? Were you moved on to the next day? Is that or explain that?
Okay, so let's take the senior event that I bought into. Right. It was $1,000 to enter. So I paid my $1,000. I got my ticket. It told me what room. There's 20 million rooms there at the Rio, and you got to find the room that you're in and the table that you're at. And the ceiling has these flyers, and it will tell you what table number it is. Right. But you have to find the right room. So I go in, I sit down, and say that was a Tuesday. So I start Tuesday, 11 o'clock in the morning, and I made it till I got to bag my chips, where they stop play for the night. It was about probably 12:30 in the morning, the next morning.
Okay.
And so you bag your chips, you put your name.
So real quick, Kim, real quick. So at that point, from 2,000 people, it's down to how many people?
Okay, we're talking about two different things now.
Okay, I thought they, okay, yeah, sorry, continue. I apologize. Go ahead.
Okay, so when I was in the senior event, I paid $1,000
Yep.
to play. I made it till the next day.
Got it.
And when you make it to the next day, you're usually in the money. We weeded out a lot of people. The people that make the money are usually the ones that hang around to the end of the night, and they bank, or they take your money and put it in the safe. The next day you get a new card, a new room, a new table, all new people, and you continue to play. And so when you realize that you're going to make the money, is because they have a big board up there, and they'll tell you, okay, everybody in the room, you've made the money, and everybody cheers, and it's so exciting. And then your goal then is to keep playing so you make more money, because the first money given is maybe your money back, maybe just $1,000, but it just keeps going up in increments. So yeah.
That's all.
So that was my
the big board during the day. I mean, it's everybody, so you can actually see how you're doing throughout the day.
Yes.
Wow.
Yes, for that particular tournament.
Gotcha.
So then when we were in the main event, Sherry and I both lasted the whole day. We got to bag our chips, but we hadn't made the money yet. Because there were still, three more days to play.
Gotcha. Okay.
And then we had a few days off, and then when our numbers were called and we played again, and we both got out the second day.
All right. So obviously this is a very cerebral game. So between days, you're done at 11 at night, and you got to be back there first thing in the morning, probably.
Yeah.
So what's the chill out at the room? You just go back to the bed and you back to the hotel room and just fall asleep, or
you're on a high for one. So,
I'm sure.
So it takes a while to come down, but yeah, you try to get your sleep, because that's what you're doing the next day, is you're playing cards and you're using your head, and it's grueling. It's grueling for the mind.
Yeah. And that to be able to handle that is just repetition, right? Just doing it all the time.
Yeah.
It's like meditation or any of those sorts of things. You gotta do it all the time.
That's right. I had never played a tournament where I got to put my chips, in the safe, because the ones at Ocean's 11, there aren't many people that play. In 4 hours, I'm done. Done my work for the day.
All right, so talk to me. So you're in Vegas, you're in the epicenter, you're in the WSOP, you put your money in the safe. What is that process like? Okay, guys, time for bed. Everyone lines up, and you're like, hey, Kim, great job today. Is that how that, what's that like? What's the feeling like?
You're on a real high. First of all, you're just so proud of yourself, because you lasted all day, and that's a testament. It really is to someone's poker game, because so many people are out, and you made it. It's a great feeling, and you're patting yourself on the back, your friends, and my sister is like, way to go.
I do. And I do enjoy playing the games. I can absolutely see the draw to it. And then, then you add on the pressure, and it's just very cool. So I wanted to go back a little bit to the tells, just to kind of talk a little bit about that, because that's another just aspect of human nature that kind of fascinates me, is how do you read people?
Mm-hmm.
Do you have a technique? you have something that you've kind of honed over the years that okay, that guy just sat down or that girl just sat down. She or he is a baller. You know that they're a player.
Uh-huh.
How do you judge that? What do you, aside from the fact that they are, smart with throwing in their cards when they have to, but what else? I mean, when somebody walks in, what do you see that you're looking for? What are the cues that you're looking for?
Yes. Well, it's funny because I have played with the same people for so long and I know them.
You're
I
like
know how they play.
You and
Yeah,
those
I know how to
people
play.
are like a married couple.
Yeah, but it was real different for me at the WSOP because they were all strangers. And I sat down with complete strangers and I had to start from scratch.
So that's actually what I want to know is when you sit down, not only are you having to figure out the game, all the strategy, but now you've got to deal with that other layer. So how do you do that? What do you do for all those other people around the table to measure them up?
Right. So the game is very slow in the beginning. So if I don't have decent cards, of course, I'm going to, throw my cards. I'm going to fold. And I take that opportunity to watch the other players on how they bet, how much are they betting, do they like to splash the pot, do they like to just call, because you can label people like he's a calling machine. He only calls. He never raises.
Yeah.
And so if I'm in a hand with that person, I'm going to count on the fact that he's only going to call me.
All right, hold on, Kim. Yeah. Because all right, so he's a call machine.
Yeah.
Are you thinking to yourself, this person is conservative, he's afraid of his own shadow, he is not confident? What is a call machine in your mind? Are you like, this is easy prey right now?
Pretty much, because you can scare them out of a pot then if you put a big raise in. Maybe I don't have the hand that he's got, but he's so not confident in his play that he's going to fold. Unless, of course, he's got pocket aces and then, he's just going to shock me at the end.
I love it. And how often does that happen? How often does somebody present themselves as a call machine, but then turns out to be a shark?
Oh, not often.
Yeah, I have to imagine that to be the case. Yeah.
No, when you label someone, you're pretty confident on that's the correct label. Sometimes I can't label people, and those doggone Europeans, they're really hard.
Why is that, you think? Why do you think that is?
Because they just
Kim, hold on. Before you start,
yeah.
Do we need to say we don't actually hate Europeans? We actually love Europeans, but you're still going to talk.
Oh, we do.
Okay.
Oh my goodness.
Right, now that everyone knows that we love Europeans, tell me why you can't stand them at the poker table.
In fact, there were some Europeans at the WSOP that I felt like their mother at the end, when we had to leave each other, and or maybe I would get them out by whatever reason, but they're always sweet. And
why are they so hard to read?
To read, it's just that they're so aggressive that they never call for any reason. If they're going to come in, they're always putting money in the pot, but they do it so often that I'm thinking to myself, they're bluffing. They cannot have a great hand every single hand.
Yeah.
And so then that's when I'll pull back and I'll just play my premium hands for a while. I don't mind just throwing cards away and keeping an eye on them. And if I get a big hand, then I'm going to play it the way I need to play it and go over the top of them, and then they'll probably fold.
Yeah. So when you see somebody come in like that, is it that they're just super wealthy and they can afford to be blowing money like that? Or is it that's just they're just that aggressive and that almost bullyish? And they're basically trying to bully people into folding.
The perception is not real. I think for my own self, because when we watch TV, we're watching the cream of the crop, because by the time the TV station gets a hold of a tournament, they're deep in the tournament. These guys know how to play, and that's who we're seeing on the TV.
Yeah.
The ones I saw at the WSOP, I found this out. A lot of them were trying to be that persona, and they didn't live up to it.
Yeah.
So,
well, I mean, that's it's one of those games, and this is the other thing that I find fascinating about it. It is literally one of those games where you cannot hide who you are, and you cannot you cannot fake it. I mean, it's right there for everybody to see.
Especially when the tournaments are like 10, 11, 12 hours.
Yeah. You
really get to know these people because there were so many people in the tournament, you weren't getting a lot of people out. And you would be with those same people for hours and hours and hours. And you really did get to know them.
Yeah.
And then people...
I apologize about interrupting. So you start off, everyone's kind of like poker face. I guess I meant to say that without actually saying it.
Yeah.
But you can't help but be communicating with these people and just kind of getting to know a little bit of the backstory. But everyone goes in there being the hard ass, like I'm going to be a poker face. But by 12 hours, it just beats you down to the point where you're just hanging out with them.
It does. So, there goes my stoic persona out the window, right? I'm laughing and, but what's so weird is that when you get to have your buddy next to you and you and your buddy are now in a hand, heads up, and it's tough.
And did you do that at the World Series of Poker with one of the people from your group?
Oh no, okay. No. I mean, you are now buddies with this perfect stranger after 10 hours of playing with them.
Got it.
So
let's go back to the group, the 60 people. You said the year that you went last year, there was 4 of you. How many other people have been to the World Series of Poker?
I think everyone in that group has been to the WSOP in some capacity, but may not have played the main event.
Gotcha.
So the outer events are $500, $1,000, $1,500, and you can, spend a lot of money and not make any of those, and then buy into the main event. So, I mean, you can have a lot of money into poker, if you don't have a group like mine.
Gotcha.
that helps you get there.
Love it. I love it.
Yeah.
I find it fascinating. I really do. And I wish I was better at it, obviously, because I don't play enough, but it's a very cool, it's got a little bit of everything. It's cerebral. It's
definitely.
competitive.
It's social. It's so social. And it's good for the soul. When the pandemic hit, we were all just so devastated that we weren't going to get together. And then somebody found this site that, we can play on. It's like, yay!
No, I love it. I love it. This is great. So when you're not engaged in 12 hours of gambling, you are also a singer in a band. Tell me a little bit about that.
Oh, I just love it. Now that is very later in life that I got to be in a band. I'm very fortunate. I have a great group of guys. My drummer is also in another band, and he's helped me out. He's told me I need to get a keyboard, and so I did. And, and then we have a really good bass player and a really good lead guitar, and the bass and lead guitar and myself all sing. So we've got it all covered. We're called the High Strung Band.
Okay.
I love these guys. In the pandemic, we've been practicing out by my pool, social distancing, and
giving the neighbors a private concert.
Yes, you'll have to come
Absolutely.
there in the street.
I love it. I love it. And so, talk to me about the band. What style are we talking about here?
Oh, we're rock.
Okay.
We play rock. Yeah, classic. The old stuff, and like Mama. I want to mix that song. Okay, Reelin' in the Years.
Oh yeah.
Hold On.
Nice.
Fleetwood Mac stuff.
Yeah.
A little Aretha Franklin. Yeah, we do a lot. It's a hodgepodge, and I think we keep our audience engaged.
So Kim, you're a rock and roller and a poker player.
Yes.
I love it.
Isn't that great?
Yeah, hey, you're living the dream. You're living the dream.
I am.
So talk to me about the Rio that week. Is there kind of a sense of there's something big happening here? I mean, is the Rio, is that all that's going on right there? I mean, 8,000 people are that's got to be every room in the Rio at least, and then everybody just.
Well, we stayed at Bellagio.
So you were slumming it.
We were slumming when we were playing.
I love it.
We always stay at Bellagio, my sister and I. That's our spot.
Now, are you like a professional golfer may have a putter in every room in his house? Do you travel with a deck of cards, and are you constantly just throwing cards around? Or I love it. So, do you think about poker all the time?
Oh, not all the time.
Okay.
No.
Oh,
but you're a friend of mine, and we do study poker. And
what does that mean? What do you mean you study it?
Well, so good players, they have their own blogs, and we will listen to their blogs. Like Doug Polk, he has a blog. Jonathan Little, he has a blog. And we listen to a scenario that they might put up on the screen. And then, we'll go over it, and we'll break it down, and we'll say, what could we have done different? And you learn from your mistakes most of the time, and share stories. It's so good to talk to other poker players about their bad beats, right?
Yeah.
And you just might pick up something that's going to help you your next game.
I love it. So how many years have you been in competitive poker?
So when my nephew was in the 2005 WSOP and we went there, then, we started playing online.
15 years.
Yeah, at least. Yeah. Wow. About 15 years. Yeah.
Okay. Did you see it ending anytime soon? Or are you still passionate about it as you were way back then?
Love it. Love it. It's so much fun. And when I lose, I try not to get too upset about it because, maybe either the cards beat me or luck beat me or whatever. But when you win, it feels pretty good.
I love it. I love it. So it just, one of the things as I'm talking to you about this, about the game of poker, it just encompasses everything. It's competitive. It's one against the other. It's a mind exercise. And I can see why people love it. And I can see why you carry around a deck of cards all the time. So when you're getting ready to go on that Saturday with the group, are you fired up? You're like, today I'm winning this thing. Or is it more like Okay, I got to go to the grocery store and then I got to go hang out with the poker team.
Yeah, no, I get excited, and you do talk yourself into winning. It is a mental thing, and you have to say to yourself, yeah, I'm going to make the money today. That's what I usually say to myself. I'm going to make the money today. It's not that I'm going to win the whole thing,
Yeah.
but I'm going to persevere, and I'm going to make the money.
I love it.
So
And
it's
what does that mean? So obviously there's a winner, but several other people behind that person make money as well.
yes, you have the big winner in first place. They get the most amount of prize money.
Yeah.
And then they usually pay second, third, fourth, and maybe fifth place out of the 60 people.
So that's essentially the last table of the night. Everyone's going to.
Yes.
Gotcha. Okay.
Yeah, and then it's just mano y mano. It's first and second going for it.
Yeah.
That's exciting to get down that far. That's called heads up. And it's a different game. It's way different.
Yeah.
It's just any two cards could win.
Yeah. And by that time, everyone else has gone home, so it's just you two.
They're gone. Yeah, everybody goes home. As soon as you're out of there.
Yeah. Oh man, that's crazy.
It's like you do the walk of shame if you're the first one out.
Yeah. Yeah. I threw the cards because I got a laundry list of things to do today.
Oh, right.
So like, let's say you and I were about to walk into, we knew we were going over a friend's house to play poker one night.
Okay.
You being where you've been, me knowing what you know about me and my poker game right now, what would be like the two pieces of information or advice that you would give me going in so that I wouldn't look like a complete jackass?
Good. Very good. I would say take your time when you're looking at your hole cards. Don't act quick. Really think about what you're doing. Are these good enough cards to play? And if they are, what am I going to do with these cards? When the flop comes, when the turn comes, when the river card comes,
Yeah.
you kind of project how you're going to play your game. And then you try to stick to that.
And
So, yes.
go ahead. No, continue. I'm sorry.
Okay, so that would be one thing, is to slow down. And then I would say, at first, just throw your yucky cards. Don't even bother playing them. I want you to start playing your premium cards, which means the anything with pictures or the ace, right? Yeah. Those are called premium cards.
Yeah. Oh, that's great.
That would be my advice for you, Brian.
Well, and I appreciate that. So let me ask you this. So I would assume at the level you are, you actually probably don't even enjoy that kind of hangout game that I'm talking about. I mean, that's just so far kind of below your radar that you probably don't even enjoy that.
I really don't.
Yeah.
I just don't. It's wacky. You know, I like to play with people that know the game because that's how you should be playing the game, right? And then you get someone that's like totally off base, and they usually come in first because we all get frustrated with people like that.
Yeah. I love it. I love it. So, so note to self, I need to step up my game if I'm going to be hanging out with you.
There you go. And you can do it. Just read a little bit.
I love it. I love it. Well, listen, Kim, this has been great. This really has.
Oh.
And if you got one last piece of advice to throw out there to us poker neophytes, let's hear it.
Oh, God, I would just say if you want to play the game, you do have to do a little studying, and it is fun. It's fun. I guess you could say it's addicting, but I'm not addicted. I look at it more like a job where I'm going to go in and I'm going to make some money and have some fun. Yeah. Really, basically, it's have some fun.
But you're not selling off patio furniture to cover your
No, and there are people that do, and so you have to look at it that way too. But I've got my gambling under control.
I love it. I love it. Well, listen, hey, Kim, this was great. Thank you very much for your time. I really appreciate it. This has been a lot of fun, very informative, and I'm not going to look at the game of poker the same way ever again.
Oh, that's so funny. Well, I would rather be playing poker, but if I can't, I'd rather be talking to you.
Well, I thank you very much. And let me close this out by saying real quick that if you're in the military, the police, the fire department, the first responders, if that's you out there, thank you very much for your service. Please stay safe. And Kim, love it. I'm all in. It was great.
Oh, that's cute. Thanks, Brian.
All right, take care. Hey, everybody, it's the Rain Man. Hope you enjoyed it. Have a good night. Thanks for watching Rain Man's Take, Observations on the World We Live In. If you like the content, don't forget to hit the subscribe button below. You can also follow Rain Man's Take on Instagram at Rain Man's Take. Also, check out our website at www.rainmanstakepodcast.com and send your comments to rainmansTake@gmail.com. Keep an eye out for future podcasts, which will be coming out every Thursday at 5 p.m. West Coast time.